All right, folks, how you doing? It's Bob out here at Serenity Hill, and today I'm doing something a little different. It's a beautiful day. It's I think around 70 or a little more. Absolutely beautiful out, and you'd think, well, Bob, you should be out doing cordwood, and I'd love to be out doing cordwood, but our water district is they're doing some upgrades and improvements, and as a part of that, they're installing a flow meter because of some 6-inch lines are adding, and so we're either going to have low water pressure or no water pressure either most of the day or on and off during the day, or maybe none of the day. But so without water it's kind of hard to do cordwood. What I did earlier today is in past videos you've probably seen big pile behind my table saw and stuff piled up on my second table saw, and so I went and got rid of all that. Now I've got a huge pile of stuff out on my burn pile to burn when the wind calms down. So I got that done. And another project I'm working on is I've got this table saw, and it's been a real workhorse for me, but one of the issues I've got is, of course, with a table saw you got a lot of sawdust. And at one time I bought a bag dust collector thing from Harbor Freight. As I'm here in the workshop, you know, out here on the house, and I don't have a dust collector system or anything like that. And even with a dust collector, like, you know, it's got this open table that supports it. So what I'm doing right now, and you can see one on the one side of it here I've got done already, is I'm modifying it. And what I'm doing, I've got some 1/4-inch plywood that's left over from another project, and so what I've done is I've cut some pieces of that plywood. Of course, it's got sawdust on it like everything else here, and I've had to kind of notch the corners a little to get it to fit. And then what I'm doing is I'm just putting this I'm putting this 1/4-inch plywood on here to cover up the holes in it. And basically I'm turning my table saw with an open, that's on an open table, into kind of like a cabinet saw where it's enclosed. Now on the sides and the back I've got pieces that will go all the way down, and then of course I kind of have to, I'll have to mark and fit in around the bolts that hold the table together, but they'll go all the way down. And in the front, what I'm doing is I've just got a half piece. I'm going to cover the front, the top half of it. The bottom half I'll leave open, and then I'll take some more plywood that I've got. I think I've got enough to do that. Well, I know I've got enough with some that a guy's given me. I'll take that plywood and I'll make me a box that I'll slide in underneath this support. And that way the sawdust, the shavings that fall down from my sawdust, they won't spread all over the place. They'll be contained and fall into the box that I can pull out and take out and dump to get rid of. And it'll keep my work area a lot cleaner, which will be nice. So that's one of the things that's kind of neat. If you've got some imagination and you're not, and you got a little time to do it, why you can modify some of these things to make them do exactly what you want them to do. And I'm going to have to make one little cut here. Pardon the noise. I've got to adjust my cut just a little bit. This is not real scientific the way I'm doing it. Oh mercy. I dropped my saw and bent my blade. Fortunately, I'm just using the top part. I'm going to have to put a new blade on it. And earlier today I dropped my drill and broke a bit. So, and you might say, well, why in the world are you sitting on a stool? Well, you didn't see me putting this other piece on, and I'll show you that in a minute. I'll bring the camera around. You know, I've got my push sticks, and I like to keep them handy, and I don't have a good workbench. So what I did is I just bought some 79-cent shelf brackets and took a piece of scrap 3/4 ply and put a little shelf on the side here that I can use to put my rip fence when I'm not using it, and to put my push tools when I'm not using them. And I had to get down on the ground to put the bolts in for those, and I didn't know if I was going to get back up or not. So I try not to get on the ground any more than I have to, because it's not fun trying to get back up. All right, so, and I've just got some general purpose screws. They've got, let's see, they're a combination. They can work on either wood or metal, and so I'm just kind of holding this place up and eyeballing it, and I'll drill me a couple holes and put a screw in. Well, you can tell when it went through the metal, can't you? And I'll put in a screw to hold this, and then I'll be able to do my other ones. Now, these are a combination wood and metal screw, and they've actually, in the screws, they've actually got on some little teeth that makes it so they'll cut into metal. So they're kind of a neat screw to have around, because they can work on either. Oh, it's a bad thing about the cart, getting stuck on stuff. I tell you, I love my battery operated tools. They work so nicely. Like I said, I love my battery operated tools. These things have really been a lifesaver. When I first started out here, I didn't have power, and so the whole timber frame for this house was built with cordless impact driver, cordless screwdriver, and a Milwaukee 7.5 inch cordless circular saw. And sometimes on stuff like this that I'm doing, I just kind of eyeball it, and I usually get pretty close, but and there's one on. And then for this other one here, I'll have to mark it, if I can remember where I put my pencil, and then cut my holes. Like I said, I just kind of notch it for where these bolts are that hold the table together. And I may not get them exactly perfectly right the first time. I may have to cut a little bit more material off. But that's okay, because I can always, and if I don't get it exactly right the first time, that's okay too, because I can cut a little more off, and I've got enough room around here to wiggle. I just realized something. I always got to put the safety glasses on. The other day I was cutting using my miter saw, and I just had a couple cuts to make, and I thought, I didn't worry about it, just was busy making my cuts, and the wood that cut off hit the fence at the back and shattered and sprayed up, and actually some pieces hit me in the face, and I thought, I better put my glasses on. Let's see how these work. Hey, I did pretty good on those. Now I'll do the other two, and then I'll just 4 screws. Yeah, probably 4 screws, and boom, I'll have it in there. That's probably a better place to put my saw. Like I said, before I cut anything any bigger than this, I'm gonna have to put a different blade on, or anything thicker, because I bent my blade down near the end. All right. Like I said, it's not real pretty, but it'll work. And you can see how that closes the side in. So all that sawdust that would normally be coming right out here will be contained inside the confines there, and put my box, and I'll be good to go. This could be interesting. I'm doing it left-handed. Yeah, that'll be good. And the reason I'm only drilling one hole at a time right now is I'm using the one to kind of hold it on for the next one. All right, well, there you go. I've got all four sides of it closed in, except for the bottom. And like I said, right down there, I'll build me a box next to put there. And then this is the shelf I put on. Now the shelf isn't straight. The table, the legs on the table are angled. So I thought about finagling the shelf so it was level, but with it tipping at an angle like that, things don't tend to fall off so bad. So that's what I've done with my saw. It looks pretty good, considering that's all scrap. It's scrap 1/4-inch plywood. Instead of throwing it away, I just adapted it to use to cover my saw over. And then I've got a second saw over here that was gifted to me, and right now it's got a 1/2-inch dado stack in it. And I've got some stuff I'll be using it for, so I just leave that one set up with a 1/2-inch dado stack in it, and this one with just the regular combination blade. And this is where I am on the house right now. You can see I'm starting to cover in to the side of the door, so it looks kind of neat. I like to now close my door. And there you go. All the way up there, all the way across the top, and then I'm going up the side of the door. And then I've got this one. I moved a window box from that wall, which is in the guest bedroom, over here, and that's going to be a window in the laundry room. And it'll take up probably about 3/4 of a laundry room wall on the outside. So right next to where the dryer will be, you got this nice window. Debbie loves the view. And then I'll have to move these bags of sand, and I'll be ready to get started there. So tomorrow morning when I've got water, that'll take 1.5 probably batches of mortar to be able to finish up this side all the way up to the top. All right, and then I'll show you the results of my cleanup. The sun's kind of bright there. We'll be turning around in a minute. Like I said, it's a beautiful day in the 70s. And as I turn around here, you'll see on my burn pile, all of that stuff was piled up behind my table saws and underneath my miter saw, and I finally decided to get rid of that and make my work area a little cleaner and neater and less of a fire hazard and trip hazard, and sort out what I wanted to keep and what I didn't. And now I'm ready to start going again. Like I said, it's nice and clean back there now. And I vowed to myself that I'm going to continue to keep it clean, because I tell you, you know, it's the real temptation is to just, you know, you've got some offcuts, you got some sawdust, to just leave it there. But the problem is, if you leave it there, then the next time you got more and more. And you know, when I was in industry, one of the things we always made people do was clean up your work area when you're done. It makes it cleaner, it makes it safer. And that was, I would always tell people, cleaning up your work area is a part of finishing the job. And then I got here on my own, and I didn't follow my own advice, and then I'll end up spending half a day cleaning up mess or working around mess. So I'm going to do an early New Year's resolution, I think, and resolve that I'm going to work on keeping my work area cleaner, better. That way I don't have to have these mega cleanup days where I thrash to get everything cleaned up. All right, well, that's just a little update. I just wanted to show you what I was doing on my table saw. Kind of turn it into a cabinet saw, and that'll help a lot with dust and sawdust getting all over the place. It'll contain it a little better. And so now my next project is to build my box, and I think I've got enough plywood scraps around here to do that. And you know, last week, a little something I need to share with you guys about how, you know, things can work out. I know some people believe in God and some people don't, but everybody's got their opinions. But um, I'm a believer, and I just sometimes things happen that just seem too coincidental to have just happened. I was out at my buddy's place cutting down trees. So I took my trailer out there last Tuesday because he had this zero turn mower that had developed a wiring problem, and he put and it kept burning out switches, these 10 amp switches. So he put a big switch on it, and he was out mowing, and it started smelling funny, smelling like something burning, and then the blades quit turning, and then he wasn't able to get it to start again, and he had to pull it back to the house with his tractor. So he burned up some wiring by putting in a 50 or 75 amp switch on some wiring that was probably rated for maybe 20 amps, probably 15, 20 amps. And so he got frustrated and he needed a mower. He didn't feel like taking the time to work on it, so he went out and bought his wife a new zero-turn mower because she's the one who enjoys doing the mowing. So he had this thing sitting there. He wanted to get rid of it, and so I took my trailer up there Tuesday and got the thing. And I was gonna cut down some logs, but we ended up talking, and you know, for my videos that I can get talking. And he reminded me before I left. He said, "Don't forget, you've got that big stack of firewood back there. And next time I go out there, I'll have to show you guys this stack of wood." What it is, he had about 40 acres logged out, and the guy who was logging it out, there were some logs that he decided were too small or too crooked or whatever reason, and he didn't load up, and he left in a big pile there. And my friend told him, "That's not a problem. Don't worry about it. I'll use it for firewood. Someone will use it for firewood." And so he had decided he had another big pile that he'd let another friend of his use. And so he told me that that was my pile of firewood, because he just assumed I was going to be putting in a wood burning stove, which we wanted to eventually, but it's just not in the budget right now. And so he reminded me I have that big stack, and I took a look at it, and yeah, it's a big stack. It's probably probably 8 to 10 foot tall at the highest point, and in a good 20 feet in diameter. So it's a big pile of oak logs, and they've been down for almost a year now. So they're on their way to being seasoned, if not already seasoned. So he reminded me of those, and I thought, okay, that's cool. I'll have to on one of my trips out here get some of those, you know, fill up the truck and bring them back. Well, then I got home Tuesday night, and I had a message from a friend from my Army days. And she's been following the build on my Facebook page, looking at the pictures. And she thinks the place is just amazing, which I think it's neat that people watch and people follow on Facebook or follow on YouTube and sharing what we're doing here and think it really looks neat. And she said, "Hey, could you use a wood burning stove?" See, they had a wood-burning stove, and it's not just a radiant wood-burning stove. It's one of the type, it's got a cowl. It's got pipes that run through the firebox, and they come up above the firebox, and then there's a cowl around that, and then it's got places to hook ductwork and a blower, so you can actually use it like as a forced air heat. And her husband, he was one of the soldiers that was on my team when I was stationed over in Germany. Well, he got injured when a helicopter incident, and he's ended up 100% disabled, and he's not able to go out and harvest firewood for a wood stove anymore. So about, I don't know, a few years back, a local HVAC company gifted them a central heat and air system. So they pulled this stove out and pulled some of the, I guess, hopefully some of the ductwork in the chimney. But they pulled this stove out, and he asked me if I would be interested in it. So here I've got a big stack of a huge pile of logs that are down and seasoned for a year. And then I've got someone wanting to give me a wood burning stove that I can hook ductwork up and use to route heat to the bedroom and the bathroom and the guest room instead of just relying strictly on radiant heat from a wood burning stove. And so that was just pretty amazing. So I'm looking forward to going out. I'll probably either late next week or week after go and get that, because what I'm trying to do right now, at the end of October, beginning of November, we had like 3 days of where the nighttime temps were down in the 20s, and so I had to hold off on cordwood for a while. Well, here we are now. The 2-week forecast is calling for nothing below, let's see, I think one night's supposed to be in the upper 30s. So that gives me at least a 2-week window, if not a little more, hopefully, so that I can get that last wall that I need done before I can close off the other two and start working on the inside here. So things will start progressing pretty quick, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you guys some of the things we have to do to get this thing to where we can move into it. So that's where we are now. And hope you like that little bit about, adapting the table saw. Like I said, I really wanted a cabinet type saw because it makes it a lot easier for dust control, but I didn't feel like spending the money. I don't have the money to spend right now because everything's going into getting this house built. And I thought, well, you know what? I've got some scrap plywood and some imagination, so I took some measurements, and now I've converted it into a cabinet saw to help with controlling dust. And get ready to build some other things around here, around doing cordwood. So things are going to start happening fairly fast, and looking forward to sharing some of that with you guys. All right, thanks for stopping by. Don't be afraid to get out and do something you've never done before, but just decide what you want to do and go out there and do it. And if you make a mistake, like I broke a drill bit while I was drilling holes to put screws in this thing. Hey, stuff happens, and you just adapt and go on. So at any rate, don't be afraid to get out there and do something, try something, have some fun at it, and do your own thing, and have a great time doing it. This is Bob out at Serenity Hill. Thanks for stopping by, and we will see you on the next one.